This is the story about the mines and town of Gilt Edge, Montana. This old town was not very far from the old towns of Maiden and Zortman. If you haven't watched either of those videos, I'll leave a link at the end of this video, as well as a link in the description box below. It was back in 1883 that a prospector named Limrock found gold on the eastern slopes of the Judith Mountains in Montana. He named his find the Gilt Edge, but despite the promising gold veins, early efforts to process the ore fell flat. The milling methods of the day simply couldn't unlock the gold trapped in the stubborn rock. However, that all changed in 1892, when a revolutionary cyanide leaching process was introduced right at the Gilt Edge site. This technology, possibly the first or second of its kind in the entire United States, suddenly made the once stubborn ore profitable. A cyanide mill was built near the site of the future town, while the mine itself was located nearly 2 miles away. Though the new process worked well, other problems still plagued early operations. One of the other problems that plagued this mine was a certain person in management. The mine resident manager was a man named Robert Ammon. Locally around the mine, Robert was known as Honest Bob, and what I can tell you is that this Robert fella was a big-time lawyer from New York. Now I bet you already know where this is going. Anyways, Robert was known to cheat workers out of their wages and would shortchange suppliers. One day he had an employee smuggle out a few £100 of cyanide gold mix. The value at the time was said to be around $25,000. Both Honest Bob and the employee skipped town and were said to have headed to Great Falls, where the gold was deposited into a bank. The bank denied any involvement and the gold was never recovered. Then in 1897 the mine came under new ownership. This new company was called the Northern Mining and Development Company, and this company built a larger mill and was built directly at the mine site. This new mill became known as the Gold Reef Mill. This new mill proved to be much more efficient, and the operation finally gained real momentum. This new mill remained in operation until 1912, supported by other nearby mines such as the Whiskey Gulch and Mammoth. With fresh management in place, this was an ushering in of an era of profitability and growth. From this time until around 1912, the operation and the town of Gilt Edge prospered. Meanwhile, all the buzz and talk surrounding this new cyanide gold plant brought people into the area in droves. The town of Gilt Edge was officially born in 1893. As the town site was laid out, many of the original buildings were constructed from salvaged lumber hauled from the recently abandoned Fort McGinnis, which was not too far away. Still, success didn't come easy. Setbacks at the mine led to a slowdown in growth in the mid-1890s. But fortunes turned again by the later end of the decade, and from that point on the mines and the town thrived. Gilt Edge became a lively hub, not just for miners, but also for nearby ranchers and folks from the declining town of Maiden. At its peak around 1908, Gilt Edge boasted a population of 1,500. The town featured a school, hospital, general businesses, and the kinds of establishments you'd expect in a boomtown: saloons, stores, and even a house of ill repute. The town even saw some Wild West characters. Calamity Jane herself was known to spend a bit of time here. Then in 1917, a newer cyanide plant was constructed at the original mill site to reprocess old tailings, but the venture didn't last long. After a long, quiet spell, mining returned briefly in the 1980s. A more modern operation started doing some mining, but in 1991 that operation closed down. All told, the Gilt Edge district produced roughly 100,000 ounces of gold. You can still go out to the old town of Gilt Edge today. I read that there is still some old shacks and foundations that are still there from the old mine and town. Well, that's it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed this short story about Gilt Edge, Montana. Please like, share, and subscribe so we can continue to bring you more old, lost mine stories.